Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. It's your boy D Black coming back to you with another SmackDown review. Alright, well, this show, it wasn't a great show. It wasn't horribly bad, but it wasn't a good show. They had some moments in there and stuff, but we'll get to that. There's been a couple of few releases and stuff from the WWE. The WWE released Zoe Starks, Elba Fire, Nikki Cross, all of the Wyatt Six, um, Dante Chin, and Aleister Black, and Apollo Crews. So I guess you have to give it at least. I hate anybody to lose their job, but I'm sure they'll go somewhere like to the Independents, maybe in TNA or something like that. Might even show up at AEW. Who knows? But anyway, for that, let's get to the show. We're gonna do this match by match in the segments. Okay, come out with Jacob Fatu coming out saying that he told Roman Reigns that he wants him, and he told Roman Reigns that he doesn't want the title. He told Roman Reigns that he needs the title. Um, and then he says that Roman Reigns was right when he was saying that he's not ready, saying that his whole life, his friends, family, and everyone has been telling him that he's not ready, for big moments that, he's come across, you know, telling him that he's not, that it's not the right time and stuff like that, and that that he's not good enough. Then at that moment, he says out to Roman Reigns and he says, hey, look, if you think that I'm not good enough, come to the ring, and prove to me that I'm not ready. And then Jimmy and Jey Uso, they come out and stuff, basically telling Jacob Fatu, to stop, trying to come at Roman Reigns and everything, and to come join the family and stuff. And then Jay is telling that it's too late, because he's already stepped up, to Roman and everything. So if he wants, respect from Roman, it's time to step up, to Roman and stuff. And then when he says that, then Solo Sikoa comes out, and Solo Sikoa is telling Jacob not to listen to Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso, because they can't, make him champion and everything. They don't have nothing for him and stuff, and if he came to Solo, to the MFTs, he said that he would make, Jacob Fatu a champion. And then at that time, Tama Tunga takes the mic and he's asking, Solo, what are they doing? Why are they wasting their time and stuff like that? And he's saying that, Jacob, he can't even, he can't beat Roman Reigns because he's a lost cause and stuff like that. And then he says he can't even beat you, Solo. He said he can't even beat Solo Sikoa. And then Solo, he can't beat, he can't beat, that Jacob can't beat Solo Sikoa. Then Jacob thinks about it, and then he kicks Tama Tonga right in the chin and stuff, right in the face. And says that the only person he needs to talk to, right now is Roman Reigns. Then says to Solo, if he can't beat him, he asked Solo, he said, do you think Jacob can't beat Solo and stuff like that? And so he challenges Solo Sikoa to a match, and then Solo walks off saying that he's all gas and no brakes and stuff from there. So, we have a match scheduled later on, for I guess the main event for tonight and stuff. And then we get the match with Tiffany Stratton and Giulia. This match was a pretty decent match. It was pretty good. They were on their game and stuff like that. It wasn't too bad, and anything. There was no really interference. Kiana James kind of tried to get involved and stuff like that. Um, and then Tiffany hits her with the prettiest moonsault, and she wins the match. And then we got a little segment with Danhausen, at the Miz's house and stuff, messing with the Miz and everything and stuff like that, and that's going on and stuff, and so, but anyway, we have Paige and the Brie Bella. They're coming out and everything. Brie's giving Nikki, her props and telling her that she has a full recovery and stuff like that. And actually the crowd really didn't react or anything like that, but they kind of did. With Paige. Paige saying that she owns SmackDown. SmackDown is hers and everything. And then we get Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. They come out and stuff, and then they have a match with each other and stuff. And this match was going on. Actually, it was a pretty, this one was a pretty decent match, for the four of them and stuff like that, and everything. And then all of a sudden, Fatal Influence shows up, and they hit the ring and take out both teams. They take out Brie Bella, they take out Paige, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss. They beat them down pretty bad, you know. And we know Fatal Influence, consists of Jesse Jane, Jacy Jane, Fallon Henley, and Laney Reed. So they took them out. And then after that, then we get the segment with Cody Rhodes. He comes out. It's got a mixed crowd. The people are booing him. Some people are cheering him. You know, um, Saying that he made a decision. To take that long walk down the ramp. And he became champ, and that You know, um, he beat Randy Orton and stuff like that. And then he started talking about Sami Zayn and the craziness that Sami Zayn was talking and stuff like that. And he's basically saying that hey, he's going to be a fighting champion. You know, um, he's going to be a fighting champion from now on, even though he's not cleared because of what happened to his eye. He's talking about Randy Orton when he punted his head off his shoulders and stuff like that. And he got a pretty good shiner for it and stuff like that. But Cody Rhodes, say that he's easy to find. He's telling the guys, from NXT, Raw, SmackDown, that he's easy to find and not hard to beat, and hard to beat. So basically, he's saying that you can find me, but you can't beat me. And then we get the tag team match for the tag team championships with so after Soul saying telling that the MFT, to go get the gold and not to let the family down. Then we get the match with Damian Priest and R-Truth versus the MFTs. The match goes on, pretty, kind of decent match and everything. Um, Tunga Lord tried to get involved and everything and stuff. He, ended up clotheslining Damian Priest outside the ring and stuff like that. So you had a little interference with the MFTs and stuff like that. But anyway, R-Truth and Damian Priest end up doing the rise up on Tama Tunga, and they win the match and retain their titles. And then we get a segment again with Danhausen, at the Miz's house, and he's going through that Miz's house and stuff like that. The Miz comes out, and Danhausen sees some little chocolate, puts his finger in, it's like sweet, and the Miz come out, and he throws the chocolate at Danhausen, but he misses and hit Maurice in the face with the chocolate, and then it goes off like that. Um, this Danhausen thing is like, oh, it's kind of annoying. It's kind of fun. I'm sure like the kids love it and everything, And then you got yeah. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just weird to me and stuff. But we'll see where they go into it and everything. Then we have the you know promo with Trick Williams and Lil Yachty. They come out and everything with the gingerbread man, saying that the people, are excited to see, celebrities, like him and stuff because, he's the new thing. he's with the U.S. champ, and he's a little yachty, and he's not going away and stuff. And then Trick William, says that there will be no more. Well, him and Lil Yachty was saying that there will be no more open challenges, for the U.S. title. And then Trick says if you want a handout, if you want, an invitation, he said if you want an invitation, go find a wedding. And if you want U.S. champion, good luck because he's 6'5", 250 pounds. Looking good, looking like a tall glass of chocolate milk. And he's rocking his lemon pepper steppers and stuff. So man, so that was kind of kind of funny. And then as they're celebrating and everything, then Sami Zayn, he busts out the gingerbread man because he attacks, Trick Williams and Lil Yachty with the little candy cane thing that he has in his hands, you know. And then he Luna kicks Trick Williams, in the corner. So I'm sure that they'll probably have another rematch or have a rematch at Backlash. So it's just crazy with that. And then you got Royce Keys, doing a little you know, Solo. He's talking to with Kathy Kelly and stuff like that, and Solo comes out and he tells him or he asks him, there's still time, he can still come join, the MFTs if he wants to and stuff. And then we get the match with Danhausen and the Miz. Okay, I'm not even gonna waste no time. Danhausen pins the Miz. It's crazy. I mean, how it happened and everything. Danhausen, tells them that they're both cursed. Then the power goes off and everything, and Danhausen knocks Kit Wilson off the ring, and then he grabs the Miz and he rolls him up and he pins him, for the 1, 2, 3 and stuff, and then the Miz runs out after him and stuff, and they go up under the ring and stuff, and then, Danhausen comes up, and then the Miz goes to get at him, and then all of a sudden the Miz ends up accidentally shoulder tackling Kit Wilson. And then Danhausen gets in his little coffin ride and everything, and he rides off and stuff. So, but then anyway, we have somebody new coming. Blake Monroe. She'll be coming soon to SmackDown. So look forward to seeing her because I know she was pretty good. When she was in AEW, and then she really had a good run. Down in NXT. So we'll see how they, put her up and book her and stuff like that. Coming up to SmackDown. It's gonna be interesting. And then Rhea Ripley comes out, she's saying that, finally, she's the champ and stuff like that. She gave her props to Jay Cargill, said, in the match that Jay proved that she can go and stuff like that. And that, she's going to become, a fighting champion. Well, hopefully it's a hell of a lot better fighting champion reign, this time that she had last time, because when she was champion last time she was champion, we barely seen her, fight for the title and stuff like that and everything. And then out comes Fatal Influence. And Fatal Influence, they got a lot of heat. The crowd booed them and booed them. Couldn't even really, I mean, they booed them out of the building. They couldn't even get a word in edgewise, but they finally did, telling the people that, they should tell them to just shut up and everything, and they should thank them, for taking out, the trash, which is calling, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Brie, Bella, and Paige, that they took them out earlier in the show and stuff, And then they're her and Rhea, they kind of get into it and stuff like that, and then Nick Aldis comes out and he ends up making the match, between Jayce Jane and Rhea Ripley. And as the match gets going, I mean, it was a pretty decent match. I mean, Jayce Jane, she brought it, to Rhea. I mean, she gave Rhea a real, real hard time in this match. It was going back and forth, but I have to say that, Ooh, Lord, Fatal Influence when they come, when they let them girls go. I mean, it's going to be something. I mean, because they really, really, Jayce Jane really, really took Rhea Ripley to the limit and everything. And then during the match, as it was going, Fatal Influence, they got into the ring, and Fallon Henley and Laney Reed got in the ring, and they took out Rhea's leg and everything, and they started beating her up and everything. And I mean, they beat her to crap. I mean, they beat her up good. So I'm sure there's going to be some fallout behind that. And then we get the Usos with Jacob Fatu saying that, they have his back. This is a little backstage segment saying that they have their back if the MFTs, try to interfere into the match that he has with Solo Sikoa. And then Jacob Fatu tells him that, he doesn't need their help and stuff, and he doesn't want it and stuff. And then we get a little backstage with Rhea, Charlotte, and Alexa Bliss and everything. Charlotte, asking, Rhea if there's a problem. And, there's no problem. And then Alexa saying that they need to, kind of get their heads together, and take out, Fatal Influence, for what they did. And then Charlotte says that, she's going to take care of business because she's going to have a match with Jayce Jane and take her out, next week. So I figure that Charlotte and Jayce Jane are probably going to have a match next week on SmackDown. And then we got again another comer from NXT coming up to the roster to SmackDown is going to be Ricky Saints. So he'll be on the show next week. And then we get the main event match. So Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. The match is good. I mean, it was going back and forth, and everything. As you expected, you would have, the MFTs come out, to get involved in the match and everything. And as they were getting involved in the match, then the Usos come out and stuff, and then Jacob is telling them, that he doesn't need their help for them to stay back. And they do. And then the match, continues on, you know, and then Jacob ends up, hitting the moonsault on Solo Sikoa, and he wins the match. And then the MFTs come in and they take him out. They attack him and stuff like that. And they bring in chairs, to try to get him. But each time one of them brought in the chair, they got snocked in the face with the chair by Jacob Fatu, and then he gets a chair and he starts beating up all the MFTs. I mean, he took them all out and stuff. So which was pretty funny and stuff. And then, the Usos come out to the ring, but Jacob doesn't need the help. He did it alone and stuff. And he just took him out after beating Solo. He took out the MFTs, and then he tells Jimmy and Jay, Jacob Fatu tells Jimmy and Jay that he'll see Roman Reigns Monday on Raw. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes out and it goes play and stuff. But anyway, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, leave a comment. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know if you agree or disagree on what I say, anything like that. Thank you for watching. God bless. Deuces. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.